We've explored how to use students as ambassadors. So when we want to communicate with students in the school, because we do that a lot through social media, is getting these ambassadors to help forward our message out because we know other students pay attention to them, that they have a reach to kids that we may not have through announcements or videos or things like that. But if another teen's supporting it or liking it, then they're more likely to get that information.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday shine online. Now, let's get back to the interview.
My name is Phil Edwards. I'm the superintendent in Angleton ISD. We're a community about 30 miles south of Houston on the Texas Gulf Coast. Currently, we have about 7,000 kids in 10 campuses. One of the interesting things about Angleton is we are growing. We expect to double the number of students in the next 7 to 8 years as the growth from the Houston area comes down to our community.
Excellent. Hey, it's great to have you here on the podcast. So excited to talk about how to keep students safe on social media so we can someday shine online. And really, we're having you here as well to give inspiration on how in your community, you're leading so many great staff members to build resilient kids for their future so that they learn as quickly as possible. They're using these digital tools in a way that becomes like a vehicle. It gets them from point A to point B in a way that's safe and fun and positive. I'm excited to have you here. What is your biggest accomplishment as a school district over the last 1 to 4 years?
We're very lucky here in Angleton. We've had a lot of great accomplishments. We're a TEA A-rated district in the state. We have been nominated twice now for the HEB, which is a grocery store chain that supports education, as a district of excellence for their award. We've been one of 3 finalists for that. We've been recognized through our PLC process and through our Capturing Kids' Hearts process, which is a social emotional program that we use. And so we've had a lot of successes. I think the biggest thing, though, that I would say, like I said, we're along the Gulf Coast. And so there are a lot of job opportunities for our students here in petrochemical companies. And so we've invested heavily in getting kids certifications and so that they can go into high wage jobs very quick from our school district. And so very, very proud of that.
That's terrific. I'm going to call that the launch sequence, if you will. And you're in the Gulf Coast, there's a lot of launching going on there too for space, which is exciting. But I love how you just said basically helping kids and students to get essentially jobs in the future. What is their career
Right.
plan? So important. I couldn't agree more with you. I need your advice for other district leaders on some safety parameters. Then we're going to get back to the positive side of launching again. What is your advice for other school districts to deal with possible social media issues that could originate on social media apps, but then create a very real problem on campus?
I think there's a couple of things that school leaders we can do. I think the first is continually educating students on both the positives and the negatives of social media and what it can do. And not just for them now, but also in their future. As people go out and look to get into university, to go into jobs, employers, schools look at social media past for kids. And so they want to make sure they've got good things on there or not things that are going to be detrimental to them. I think the other most important thing is to make sure we're educating parents about what social media has, what the new trends in that are, and how kids use it, and to be aware and to make sure they're involved in their kids' lives, which include their social media lives and what they're saying and how they're using that. So I think that education of both students and parents is very, very important.
Oh, so true. There's $1 million of advice right there. Love what you just said. Let's dive back over into the positive side of things. Can you provide some examples, Superintendent, of how your students have used their social media in a positive or maybe even a productive way that could have benefited themselves or their community?
We had a really unique instance happen for Angleton about 3 years ago coming out of COVID. We have a high school principal who does a great job, Mr. Anthony. He's a great communicator and he's very popular with the students. And there was a student who had a TikTok and Instagram, good amount of following. He does a 60 seconds with Smedley announcements every week. And she took that, put it to music, kind of edited it up a little bit, done in a very, very positive way. That went out and got over 1 million hits through Instagram and TikTok. And so it did a great job, not only presenting our school in a positive light, our principal in a positive light, but our community in a positive light. it actually went on that other kids got on it as well and started doing some of the same things. I think one of the most important things, or one of the things I was really amazed by, is the reach of those million of views was throughout the world. And so we were able to put positive things out about our school, you know, and it also goes to reinforce what the reach of social media can be. It's just not in your community. It can be, again, a global phenomenon when those things happen.
I love how you also made the student the expert and had the student help
Mhm.
to put it together, and that really is a partnership. As you and I know, never before in the world has a teenager known more about a subject than an adult. I mean, I think we often forget that. In the last 10 years, teens are now more knowledgeable, and never before in the history of the world has a teen ever known more about an adult this quickly.
Absolutely. We've explored how to use teen or students as ambassadors. So when we want to communicate with students in the school, making sure, because we do that a lot through social media, is getting these ambassadors to help forward our message out because we know other students pay attention to them, that they have a reach to kids that we may not have through announcements or videos or things like that. But if another teen's supporting it or liking it, then they're more likely to get that information.
Such a great point. Now, Superintendent, the next piece of advice I'd like from you is what suggestions do you have for parents to encourage their kids to use technology in a positive way, both in the classroom and at home?
I think one of the things that we all have to realize, both as teachers and parents, is that the use of technology by our kids is going to happen. Trying to prevent it from happening is just not the correct way to go about doing things. We've got to encourage them to use it in the correct way. We've got to continue to encourage students to be positive with it, to make sure they don't get into the pitfalls that come along with social media. And again, like I said earlier, I think parents just have to pay attention and know what their kids are doing and stay informed and connected with their kids and talk about what they're doing on social media on a consistent basis to make sure that they can help their students be positive with it.
I love that. And that leads into the next question. I heard you say stay informed and connected with the kids. And if parents don't know that yet, we probably have to engage the parents to teach them how important that is because we
Right.
often forget. We get busy, right? So, my
Right.
next question for you, so much in line with what you just said, is what are your suggestions for other districts to increase parent engagement? And on that same note, are there any specific channels or events in your community that get the biggest turnout?
When we try to communicate with parents, so we no longer can do that in the traditional ways. I've been in education 36 years. Used to do that by sending a note home or making a phone call home. Those things typically tend not to work. We use social media to really try to communicate with our community. And I think one of the things we've realized is depending on the age of who we're trying to address is the platform we need to use. People who may be in their late 40s, early 50s, it's a Facebook platform. Younger parents or community members, it may be Instagram or TikTok. And so we have to be varied in everything that we do with that.
Are there any specific channels or events that get the biggest turnout, whether it's on
Yeah.
campus or delivery, getting them engaged?
One of the things we know is that when we have kids perform, whether that be in choir, athletics, whatever that is that's going to get our biggest turnout. And so instead of creating events that we expect them to come through, it's using the events that we know they want to be part of. And how do we communicate at those events?
Yeah.
And so if we're having a choir concert, somebody get up and saying, hey, please remember this. Or if it's the beginning of the school thing, this is a great time to talk to parents about the process to get into college or the types of jobs to get certifications or types of things you need to get job certifications, is using those things that they want to come to and that we get a lot of people at and turning that into communicating in the things that we need to communicate with them.
That's such a great segue. I want to give a shout out to the hundreds of school districts that are using us for exactly that reason. Thank you to everyone in 29 different states that are using our parent engagement videos and resources to engage parents. And thank you to the other superintendents who've been on this podcast that are using our program to use our modules, our 3 to 5 minute modules in their combined events. Kids come out for recital and to perform, and 100 parents are in the room. Thank you to the many districts that are saying, hey, everyone, we're about to see the kids. They're in the back. But before that, we're going to watch a TikTok module of real teens teaching you why they are addicted to TikTok and what they want parents to know about it. There's a dialogue starter piece of paper on your chair when you came in. It has elementary, middle school, and high school dialogue starters at home. Try them out. Thank you to the districts that are using that. You're doing great work. And we are excited about what we can do together for the next school year.
I think one of the things that you've talked about that your platform does is it uses videos. I think that's such a great way to communicate, and that's what we're seeing as well. As we get the most responses when we're showing somebody something visual. And so again, as far as social, with the videos that it does, is a great way to communicate that out to parents and students.
That's the nicest thing that somebody said to me in a month. That's amazing. And they say nice things. We're so grateful. So thank you, Superintendent, for that. But the back to the goal, the struggle is real. How do we engage these great parents who want to protect their kiddos? How do we engage the kids to build resilient students in the future using the tools that the world has rather than AI being the enemy? How do we use it to teach them the skills they want? We want to lean into this stuff eventually. We want students to be safer and positive, and we want to be proud of them 10 years from now once they've gone through some kind of vocation and they're in their career. Wow, I'm so proud of that kiddo because we're kind of adopting them in our life in a way, right? They are part of us. And so at least us as Smart Social. Okay, here's the final question I have for you. Everybody's talking about this. Speaking of new technology, and I think it just gets into the core of who we are as district leaders, as parents. How is your school district approaching all these new AI tools like ChatGPT?
I think it's a real big learning curve that we've got to engage in. I can tell you the concept of telling kids you can't use it isn't going to work.
Yeah.
They're going to use it. I think the idea of using it responsibly is a great thing, and putting some times and giving kids some chances that says this is the appropriate time to do this. I know one of the things we did this year is we told our seniors as they were applying for scholarships or letters to universities for acceptance is to use ChatGPT or AI to help with that. But that was a perfectly great time to do something. I think the other part is a learning that goes just because an AI spits it out doesn't mean you just take it verbatim. You have to fix that, put it in your words, use it that way. But kids are going to continue to use it. I think our challenge as educators is how do we align that with what we're doing in the classroom and use it productive way? Because it is something that's very powerful. It's a good thing. We've just got to make sure we use it in the correct way.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Superintendent, thank you so much for joining us here today.
I very much appreciate it. It's a great conversation. It's a conversation I think that's really important. That's going on in school districts right now is how to use social media, how to use AI, how to use technology. It's such a benefit in our world. And we as educators have got to make sure we're producing students who can use this information and use these tools in the right way to help move them towards their goals, I'd say.
So true. Thank you to all of our other districts, our 122 other superintendents and district leaders who've been on the podcast. You're awesome. Thank you for sharing your tips and techniques. And to all the parents listening and watching, always remember to keep it light, bright, and polite because your kids are watching. We'll see all of you on the next episode. I'm Josh Oakes, the host and the founder of smartsocial.com. Have a great day. We'll see you soon. Take care. Thanks for listening to our smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. This was our District Talk segment where we interview school district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday launch into their future by shining online. This episode was brought to you by our smartsocial.com VIP program. It's called the Very Informed Parent Program, which helps you engage your students with teen-led video lessons. Stay one step ahead with our premium parent newsletter and discover hidden features on trending apps on teens' phones and our 54 plus live parent and student friendly events every single year. You can click on the link below to chat with one of our team members if you want a free pass to our VIP program to support your community with our smartsocial.com resources. And if you're a district leader who has a success story, we would love to feature you on a future episode. You can click the links below to reach out. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Have a great day.